Good afternoon, everybody. It's Miss Morgan from the Williston Community Library, bringing you today's week 8 of the summer reading program. This is the last week, so thank you for joining me virtually. So this week, what we're going to do is we are going to be making puppets. So you're going to need 2 toilet paper tubes or a paper towel tube cut in half, which is what I have. You're going to need your paint. You're going to need a popsicle stick and some string. And you're going to want something on the table for when you're painting. That way it doesn't get on the surface that you're using. And let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by painting both of these toilet paper tubes. And then we're going to read our story while they dry, and we'll get to put together our animal. So think of an animal that you want to do. I think I'm going to make mine into a horse. So think of an animal that you want your puppet to be. All right? So go ahead and paint your 2 toilet paper tubes. I've seen people make horses, I've seen people make giraffes, unicorns. It's a little hard to make a giraffe, but it can work. Somebody made an octopus, so you can make an octopus. And you may need your grown-ups' help with putting it together, because there are a couple parts where you're going to need a little bit of extra help, like when making the holes for the string to put it together and all of that. All right, so I have my first one painted, and I think I'm going to paint my second one red or pink, because I have a little bit of white on my brush still, so it's going to be a little bit pink. And your animals can be different colors. I mean, I've never seen a red horse in my life, but maybe it'll be a book character. Maybe one day I'll have a book that has a red horse in it, and I can be like, oh, I remember making a puppet like that. And these shouldn't take too long to dry. By the time our story's read, they should be good to go. All right, I'm almost done, which means it's almost time to read our story. If you haven't got a chance to finish yours yet, don't worry, you can continue doing it while we read our story. And we're going to read a story about that has Sesame Street in it, because Sesame Street, they're puppets. All right, so I've got both of my toilet paper tubes painted. So what I'm going to do is I am going to read our story. So I'm going to zoom on in here. That way you can see the book. And it's called Listen to Your Fish. Terrific Tips for Pet Care. And this is by Sarah Albee, illustrated by Tom Brannon. Hello there, boys and girls. It is I, Grover, here to tell you my 10 do's and do nots for taking care of your pet. The most important thing to remember about choosing a pet, whether it is a cute doggy, an adorable kitty, a fish, or a llama, is that it should be the right kind of animal for your family. Wild animals may look cute and adorable, but they do not make good pets. Are you ready for Grover's 10 rules of taking care of pets? Turn the page for rule number 1. And look, excuse me, sir, but I seem to have lost my sheep. Leave them alone, and they'll come home. She followed me home. Can we keep her? And look, it's a skunk. Pet rule number 1. Do give your pet fresh food and clean water every day. My first rule. And do not bother your pet while it's eating. And look, there's one of the sheep that were lost. Hey, no problem, Fluffy. We can play later. Pet rule number 2. Do not feed pets from your plates. It is not healthy for them, and it teaches pets bad eating habits, like begging for food, which everybody knows is not polite. Oh, look, cookies for dessert. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Please, oh please, gimme cookies. Pet rule number 3. Do be sure your pet gets exercise every day. And look, one more lap, Dorothy. Come on, you can do it. And Elmo is walking a wagon with his pet fish in it. And there's a turtle and a dog and a horse and even a bird. Pet rule number 4. Do make sure your pet gets regular checkups at the veterinarian. And look, they have a stethoscope up to the fish tank, which is kind of silly, isn't it? Pet rule number 5. Do help your pet stay clean and well groomed. And they're giving the dog a bath, they're combing the horse's mane, they're dusting off the pig and brushing the cat. And there's the sheep again. Pet rule number 6. Do not go near strange dogs or crocodiles. Pet rule number 7. Do keep your pet on a leash in public places. Leashes help keep dogs from getting into fights with other dogs. And look, there's the dog, and it was trying to go towards this dog, but it was on a leash. Pet rule number 8. Do not bother your pet while it's caring for its babies. Roxanne looks a little busy right now. Let's just play by ourselves. Pet rule number 9. Do be gentle with your pet. Be sure to watch little babies carefully when they are around pets. Even nice pets might get angry if someone is rough with them. And remember to wash your hands after you pet your pet. Pet rule number 10. Do give your pet lots of love and attention. I didn't know where to find you, but you all came home wagging your tails behind you. And look, there's all of the sheep. And so, boys and girls, if you remember your friend Grover's 10 rules for caring for your pets, you will have a happy, healthy pet. Down, kitties. Good kitties. Nice kitties. Elmo thinks you need one more pet rule, Mr. Grover. Pet rule number 11. Do expect a lot of attention from cats after rolling around. All right. So, now that we've finished reading our story and we have painted our toilet paper tubes, what we're going to do is we are going to get our toilet paper tubes back. Oh, mine is sticking a little bit. And I think I'm going to use white for my horse's head. But if you look, they're just about the same size or the same exact size. Mine's a little bit off because I cut a paper towel tube. So my horse's head doesn't need to be as long as its body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how long I want my horse's head to be. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut my toilet paper tube again in order to make my head the size that I want my head to be. So here is my head, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my eyes, and you should have sticker eyes in your bag, or you can use paint and you can paint on some eyes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my horse's eyes on, since my toilet paper tube is nice and dry. So now that I've got my horse's eyes on and I've got its body ready to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of string. So I've got my string, and you should have some leftover string. And I'm going to cut just a little piece, because this is how we're going to attach our head onto our body. Alright, so now what you're going to do is you are going to make a hole. So the best way to make a hole is to fold it over a little bit and just make a little cut. So there's my little cut to put my yarn through. And I'm actually going to do it on both sides, that way I can have extra enforcement. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick my yarn through my hole. And this is the part where I said your grown-up might need to help you, because it's a little bit hard to get the yarn through it. But who knows, maybe you'll be really good at it and you won't have to have a grown-up's help. And you're going to tie a knot at the bottom. That way it stays on there. So as you can see, I've tied a knot. And I think I'm going to do a double knot, because it looks like it might come through otherwise. Alright, so I've got my double knot. And I'm going to put it through the other hole. And then you're going to need to make a hole for your head to go through, or for it to go through the head of the animal as well. Alright, so I've got my other hole, and I'm going to pull my string through. Alright, so now that I've got my string all the way through the body, what I'm going to do is I have my head here, and I'm going to decide where I need my hole to be. So my hole needs to be right here. And you're just gonna cut another hole, just like you did on the other side, or on the other toilet paper tube, and you're gonna stick your yarn through there as well. All right, so I think I'm gonna even make one on the top too, just like I did the bottom, just so I can tie it together. All right. So how are your puppets coming along so far? All right, so here is my horse so far. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this leftover a little bit that I had from cutting to make my head smaller, and these are gonna be my legs for my horse. Because here's my legs, and I'm just going to use a little bit of glue, or you can use string. You can use glue, whichever would be easiest for you. All right. I'm just about done getting these on. And I think I might use one or two of these as a tail. And I'm just going to cut a couple pieces just like this. And I have a tail for my horse. Depending on what animal you have, you could use string, you could use part of your paper towel tube or toilet paper tube like I did, or you don't have to add a tail to it. It's totally up to you. This is your puppet, and you can decide how you want it to be. All right, so now that I've got my puppet just like that, what I'm going to do is now it comes the part where you're going to be able to attach it to the, my horse's tail just fell off. You're going to attach it to your popsicle stick that's going to be able to help control it. So the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and put your string through the body. Or you can cut a hole. I found yesterday that it was a little bit harder than to control the puppet if you did it that way, whereas if you put it around, it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to just tie a knot here to help hold it in place. All right, so here is about how long I want it to be, because you're also going to need to do that for the head. So I'm going to cut it right there, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the head. And if you have a lighter colored string, it'll work a little bit better. Mine's a dark color, which is okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your popsicle stick and you're going to tie this around your popsicle stick. And you want to make sure that your head's string is shorter than your body string. That way it'll work a little bit better. I was trying to think of the words there for a second. So I might have to adjust mine a little bit. But here is my puppet. I think my head needs to go a little bit further up. So here is my puppet. And like I said, my tail fell off of my puppet. So you'll want to make sure that if you do put a tail on, maybe yarn would be easier. It's totally up to you. Like I said, you don't have to have a tail at all. But thank you so much for joining me. I hope your puppets turn out just as great as you wish they will. And we will see you next time. All right?